Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hello, Muskegon. Your host today is myself, DJ Hilson, and it's actually my honor and privilege and pleasure to have as my official first guest of this great new series, Muskegon Rising. So is our local county sheriff, Michael Poulin.
Good afternoon. Glad to be here.
Thanks for being my first guest, or my first one.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit today about law enforcement and community involvement, but I want to start with you. If you could maybe give our listeners and watchers a little outline of your law enforcement career.
Well, my career started in 1987, the fall of 87. I've worked here in Muskegon County my whole career. Got ultimately hired at the sheriff's office in 1989 after working part-time at a few agencies. Through the years there, working nights, a great deal of my career was spent working traffic services, doing accident investigation and crash reconstruction. 2003, I was promoted to sergeant. Ultimately lieutenant and captain, being promoted through the ranks. Then I retired in 2016 to run for the office of sheriff, where I'm currently serving my second term.
Well, it is actually, there's a lot of things that I find fascinating about you, but one of the biggest ones is the fact that you've spent your entire life here in Muskegon County. And so you have essentially seen a lot of the different growth and development on a lot of different facets.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lifetime, right? And, my father went to Muskegon Heights High School. My mother graduated from Muskegon Catholic Central. They're, still in the same home, when I was a young kid growing up here in the city of Muskegon. And I've just love it here, for one. I love the community, all the positive things that are going on downtown, Lake Michigan waterfront area and everything. I think you're aware that, my family were boaters, and so this is really the only place to be, if you ask me. But, it's a great community. I enjoy working here. It was a perfect spot and a perfect fit for myself.
So talk a little bit about, if you would, Sheriff, talk a little bit about, and maybe give us a historical perspective of the importance of the sort of connection between community and law enforcement. And I'm sure through your entire career, you've kind of seen that evolve. So maybe kind of develop that for us a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, I've always kind of went with the idea that, communities police themselves, right? Neighborhoods do. We're here to offer service to people in our community, to work for them, to be, best stewards that we can, if you will. The 11 law enforcement agencies that are working in Muskegon County, we work collectively together. And we need our community's support in order to get the work done. We really do. And they need to know that they can trust in the work that we're doing. They need to know that the leadership at those agencies can be trusted. And, they should be open to listening to individuals in their communities. I mean, I think it's very important. But, without our community, we don't get to do the work. And that's on both sides. We need to be that voice for the community, and we need to be the ears, too, because we need to listen to what is important for our community, especially a position as an elected sheriff, most importantly.
Over the years, and even if we look into more recent history, there seems to be, on a national level, this discord, if you will, between community and law enforcement. And there are a lot of things you can point to that have maybe contributed to that. Obviously, unfortunately, we see a lot of negative and not a lot of the positive. And so maybe describe how most recent history has sort of changed the dynamic of how law enforcement operates these days.
We see a lot of it, but I think we hear more of it, that negative. I truly believe there's more people out there that support and believe in law enforcement. It's just those loud, vocal individuals that are really getting the attention, especially the media and things like that. But, I don't want to say it's made our work harder, all right? It's created some challenges, but the fact of the matter is, I think with law enforcement kind of being underneath that microscope, if you will, it's made us better, right? many more tools out there for us to use now in our trade. You know, the body cameras, in-car cameras. You know, these are things, and I remember being, you know, the early 90s when we first got our in-car cameras, and a lot of the officers, you know, and I don't want to say a little bit myself, but I was against it too, you know, but I saw what was going on and what a benefit they were, and you know, I actually went and got my very own camera. You know, I was the first guy here in Muskegon County to have an in-car camera. It's one that I purchased myself. But it, you know, I think it's made us sharper. It's made us better law enforcement officers. You know, we're dealing with things a little differently than we used to. It's like the community will question law enforcement from time to time, and I'll be honest with you, I'm good with that. I'm okay with that, because if we're doing the work that we're supposed to be doing, we're going to get the community support.
Now, you and I, obviously, we've been involved together for a few years now, and obviously on different committees. And how would you, and obviously you're very active in your statewide association, and so you get a chance to talk to your colleagues across the state of Michigan. How would you rank where Muskegon compares as it relates to community law enforcement relations compared to some of the other counties in this state?
You know, and I do. So I'm on the executive board for the Michigan Sheriff's Association, and we do share those stories and how things are going, you know, within the 83 counties in the state of Michigan. And sometimes when I sit through those meetings, and it's kind of unlike our COPS board meeting, which you sit on, you know, as well. And we see this community collaboration of law enforcement leaders that we have here in Muskegon County. You've said it at meetings before, and so have I. You know, you don't see it anywhere else, not like you see it here. I mean, those other agencies have relationships with the other partners that they have within their communities, but I don't think it's like what we have here, honestly. We've done our best always to work together as chiefs, as leaders for our community, to make sure that next jurisdiction has the tools, the resources, you know, that they need, either to complete an investigation or get specific work done. You know, case in point, you know, me going to the County Board of Commissioners the last few years just to get additional dollars out of my overtime budget to assist with some violent offenses that were happening in Muskegon County, to try to really, you know, get a grasp of that and take care of it. You know, really that kind of out of the box thinking, if you will.
Well, let's jump off out of the box thinking, because since you've been sheriff, you've come up with some pretty innovative and clever ways to really connect with all ages of the community. Let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of those things that you really are proud of?
You know, it was. Let me step back a minute here, because when I was working in traffic as a traffic officer for the sheriff's office, you know, we won 12 statewide awards over 10 years for traffic safety initiatives that we were doing back then. And it was always my goal to come up, what's the next thing we can do? Every year we wanted to improve. Every year make something better. When I was elected as sheriff, you know, I had this idea, and it really just started as a conversation with Rob George. He owns Emergency Services, our vehicle maintenance provider, that business. And we just had a discussion, and it was to create this ice cream truck. Now, you know, we weren't the first ones to do it. Other agencies have done it in other communities. But, you know, I wanted to be the first in Muskegon County to have this happen. And I thought, you know, if we can get a vehicle together where uniformed officers, police or fire, could serve free ice cream to our youth throughout the communities, kind of break some of those barriers, if you will. Just another way for the kids to connect with the officers to connect with the kids. You know, we've been 2 years now operating this, our Polar Patrol, this ice cream truck that we have. It was, you know, my conversation with Mr. George when we first started talking about this, it was probably about a month after that conversation. He called me to the garage there, and he had this old box van that he picked up, and he's like, what do you think of this one? And I'm like, you know, Rob, this is great, but I don't know how we're going to pay for this, you know. And but his business, he and his wife, you know, they funded 100% of that ice cream truck, and it cost the taxpayer no dollars. And it's been the hot ticket item the last 2 summers here in Muskegon County. It gets utilized by just about every law enforcement agency, different community events in the area, and we first introduced it at a bike rodeo in the city of Muskegon Heights, and I remember responding there and getting to interact with the kids, you know, from the community there. And they had fun, and so did I. I mean, just because it's a little different, you know, and I know my staff, they enjoy being able to work that detail also, because they get to really perform on a different side and get to, you know, see kids on a different side.
So what we're talking about here is there are law enforcement in uniform, mm-hmm. in a what you would, I mean, if you can picture, if you're listening to this, and what an ice cream truck, it looks exactly like an ice cream truck.
Yes.
And it has the freezers. It's got the whole.
It's got the music. We have lights on it. It's right. It's. I'm trying to remember what the tagline is on the front of it right now, and I apologize, but it's right to protect and serve ice cream. As it says there. So no, it's a full blown ice cream truck. It's got a microwave in it. We're trying to think of other events that we can use it for, but we do. Everything's prepackaged, right? And it makes it easier for the other agencies to use it. And, really at any community event it is, and I don't want to say so we don't have to deal with or apply for health department, permits and stuff like that. So it's an easy process and a great community engagement. And, if you see the lines of the kids coming to the events, just to go there to interact with an officer, get some free ice cream. Who wouldn't want to do that?
So, and really, the cost to an organization is what? If they want to I'll say, rent out the
well, there's no fee. There's no fee to rent the Polar Patrol. The big caveat is that a uniformed officer needs to be the one serving the ice cream at a community event. You'll be responsible for getting your own sponsorship for ice cream. Ice cream isn't that expensive. We do take donations, and we like to keep a little kitty, of some dollars on the side specifically for purchasing ice cream for pop-up events and things like that. But there's no cost to use this vehicle. It's the community's vehicle, if you will. And, when Mr. George and I were initially talking about it, that really was the intent for community outreach. And, it's not just the sheriff's office vehicle, it's Muskegon County's.
So how does one go about inquiring as to when they might be able to use the ice cream truck and when it might be available?
Yep, you can. They can call the sheriff's office. I apologize, I don't have the link with me right now, but we do have a web-based link where we have different equipment too that people use for different programs. It's got a small questionnaire there about what agency will be using it, the dates, and do you have a sponsorship. It's really straightforward, and you'll receive a response pretty quick on if it's going to be available that day or not.
Well, that's fantastic. Having sat at least one time in the ice cream truck along with yourself, it is a great way to really, maybe break down some of those barriers that have been created over the years, and again create that positive atmosphere between law enforcement, especially kids.
Right. You know what? It's just about every problem can be solved over a drumstick. So, but it's some of the conversations we've had with our area youth, it kind of eye-opening, for the different areas and stuff that, you might be working and going to and get an opportunity to talk to the kids. It's kind of nice. The bike rodeos are a lot of fun, because we get to help them with the bikes too and, do different things.
Well, great innovative idea, Sheriff, and another great way to connect with the community. And, obviously I just appreciate all the things that you do for the Sheriff's Office, our partnership with you guys as well as law enforcement, and certainly, the community itself. I agree with you. I think we've got the best thing going in Muskegon. We shouldn't take it for granted, folks that are listening to this podcast. And, obviously, having guys like you to help us serve and protect, I feel safer every day. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That wraps up this edition for me. Thank you, Sheriff Poulin, for being my first guest on this wonderful podcast, and thanks to Muskegon Rotary, and always thank you, Mike Vogus, for making these innovative ideas happen.
Yes, thank you.